Legacy overhead. That's what he called me. I was halfway through updating a compliance audit sheet when the video feed flickered alive. And there he was, Matt. 30 years old if you rounded down generously. The type of guy who probably used the word synergy in bed and thought Excel macros were cutting-edge sorcery. The CFO introduced him as the efficiency fixer, which in corporate code meant smiling hatchet man. He looked the part too, tanned, teeth so white they almost glowed, hair styled like he Googled alpha male fade before his interview. "Hi, everyone," he smirked, that frat boy grin you see on guys who still do keg stands at weddings. "I'm here to streamline operations and eliminate redundancies." Then his eyes landed on me through the screen, scanning like he was deciding which antique chair to toss out first. I didn't blink. Just clicked save as on the folder where I kept every licensing document, federal renewal timestamp, and internal compliance chain tied to my name. Renamed it Church Pancake Recipes. Backed it up to a private drive. Because Dana Miller wasn't going out like a rookie. By lunch, I overheard him in the break room joking with two junior analysts about phasing out boomer infrastructure. I'm 42, not a boomer. But in Matt's world, if you didn't TikTok your workflow, you were prehistoric. Then came the dreaded huddle. Open floor plan. Everyone standing around like we were about to exorcise common sense. Matt pulled up a slide deck stuffed with empty buzzwords, agile compliance ecosystem, decentralized accountability hubs. 3 interns nodded like they were witnessing the second coming of Elon Musk. Some of our team members, especially those with legacy responsibilities, will be reassessed for alignment with our lean strategy, Matt said. Then he stared directly at me. "We appreciate your historical contributions, Dana." Historical. Like I was a sarcophagus in HR's basement. I smiled. The kind of smile you wear when someone's about to step into a bear trap you've been camouflaging for a decade. Quick pause. If you're listening and not subscribed, do me a favor. Trying to hit 10,000 subs so I can finally afford a chair that doesn't squeak every time I breathe. 95% of y'all watch without clicking. One tap would make this girl proud. Anyway, back to the meltdown. That night I stayed late, not because I had to, because I wanted to. Watching the system breathe felt like watching your kids sleep before Child Protective Services shows up. I checked my credentials across 3 federal platforms: active certification, renewal control, licensing PIN, audit clearance. Still tied to my name. I made sure timestamps matched. Then I printed my contract clause, the one nobody ever reads. Section 7C. In the event of involuntary termination, all company-paid licenses and certifications are voided and credentials rescinded within 48 hours of termination. Nobody noticed when I left. But I noticed how Matt's eyes lingered on me the next morning, like a lion watching a cow, not realizing the cow had access to predator drones. By Tuesday, he taped a poster above the copier that said, "Compliance is not equal to complacency, interview for their own jobs." They spun it as a bonding exercise, like we should be grateful for a chance to pitch ourselves for the same roles listed on our health insta. Then came the real stunt. Everyone, yes, everyone, was told they had to rearrange cards. One by one, employees shuffled into conference rooms, like kids going to the principal's office. The new hires came out smiling, chirping stuff like, "Matt really sees me and he's bringing fresh air." Fresh air? More like sewer gas. When it was my turn, I didn't bring a resume. I brought silence. "Dana, you've been here a while," Matt said, barely looking up from his laptop. 10 years, I replied. Cool as a cucumber in a snowstorm. Right. Institutional knowledge. We value that. His fingers tapped the keyboard, probably typing Fire Dinosaur into Slack. He pulled up an org chart with my name crossed out under regulatory stewardship. Next to it, open to be reassigned. Then he clicked a tab labeled Q3 Renewal Delegation. The file name, Q3 License Transfer Plan V1. Comment inside. Can this be transferred downstream? Downstream in Matt speak meant dumped on someone too green to spell OSHA. I smiled, steady on the outside. But inside, a siren wailed. Back at my desk, I opened the database I'd built from scratch in 2016, tracking every compliance certificate, expiration date, governing body, and signature authority. 43 items total. 43 licenses. 43 pieces of federal red tape tied directly to me. I exported a fresh log, encrypted it, zipped it, renamed it Employee Birthday Cake List, and emailed it to a private account. Then I cleared the send items. Call me paranoid, but I've seen what happens when children play with matches and call it innovation. Later that afternoon, Matt reassigned my inspection prep to a marketing intern who thought FDA stood for Food Design Aesthetic. She actually asked if it meant redesigning the lunchroom posters. Meanwhile, I got tasked with reorganizing the janitorial supply shelf. He said it would keep me in the loop at a foundational level. Foundational like mold. Asked politely if I still had admin access to the licensing dashboard. Matt blinked. Oh, I think we routed that to Chloe last week. You don't really need it anymore, right? Chloe had just learned what a PDF was. I didn't argue, just nodded. Then logged into a terminal down the hall and revoked her access using a shadow admin panel no one knew existed. If I was being kicked off the ship, I sure as hell wasn't leaving the map behind. Later, I passed Matt's glass office. He was laughing on a call about scrubbing out the old wood. He didn't notice me watching, but I noticed something. The fuse was shorter now, and the air smelled faintly of smoke. Wednesday morning hit like a sucker punch. I walked in early, grabbed coffee, and noticed my badge didn't light up green on the first try. Second swipe, beep.
Green.
But that half-second pause told me everything I needed to know. Someone had put my name on a list. Matt strolled in an hour later, Starbucks in one hand, ego in the other. "Morning, team," he boomed. His shirt sleeves rolled just enough to flash a Rolex, because of course he wore a Rolex to a building that smelled like printer toner and burnt coffee. "Quick update," he said, gathering us around. "We're implementing a transitional compliance framework. Dana, we'll need your legacy files to migrate over by Friday. Chloe will be taking point moving forward." I nodded, smiling faintly, but inside, I was laughing so hard I could have cracked a rib. Because here's what Matt didn't know. My so-called legacy files weren't just documents. They were keys. Each license, each certification, each renewal number, they didn't live in a vacuum. They lived in a chain of custody tied directly to my credentials. Without my digital signature, those files were as useful as a car without an engine. I played along, though. "Of course," I said. "I'll prep them tonight." That night, instead of prepping, I reviewed the failsafe. Back in 2019, after surviving one too many restructuring initiatives, I wrote a personal contingency plan. Not for revenge, just survival. Step 1. Mirror every compliance license into a personal offline vault. Step 2. Encrypt it with a phrase only I would remember. Step 3. Ensure every license auto-voided if my credentials were deactivated. And step 4?
Wait.
By Thursday, whispers had started. 2 people in payroll had already been streamlined. One walked out crying. Another walked out silent, eyes glazed like she'd been erased from her own story. Everyone else tried acting chipper, clapping at Matt's town halls like seals desperate for a sardine. He called me into his office around 3 p.m. "Dana, sit down." He gestured to a chair across from him like he was a judge. "Listen, you've been here a long time. We appreciate your contributions. But moving forward, we need more adaptability." "Adaptability," I repeated, folding my hands. "Exactly." His smile was all teeth, no warmth. "So, we're giving you the opportunity to explore external roles where your skills will shine. HR will coordinate a soft exit. Translation, you're fired, but we want you to leave quietly." I didn't flinch. I didn't beg. I just nodded once. "Understood." He leaned back, clearly satisfied. "See? This is what I mean. Grace under pressure. You'll land somewhere great. The arrogance. The sheer youthful oblivion." He thought this was over. I walked back to my desk, power down my computer, and slipped the company phone into my bag. Nobody questioned it. Nobody noticed. That night, I sat in my apartment with a glass of wine, watching the city lights flicker against my window, and waited, because the clock had started ticking. At exactly 11:59 p.m., my credentials expired. 38 licenses tied to food safety, building compliance, federal procurement, and environmental clearance, all blinking into the void. By 12:01 a.m., an automated system began flagging expired certifications. By 12:07 a.m., a federal audit server had already sent a notice, non-compliance warning, immediate action required. And by sunrise, Matt's streamlined operation was a crime scene. When I walked into the office Friday, the atmosphere was chaos. Phones ringing nonstop. Slack channels exploding with panicked messages. Chloe was near tears, stammering about why she couldn't access the dashboard. Matt stormed out of his office, red-faced. Dana, what the hell happened? I sipped my coffee. Looks like the licenses expired. You didn't transfer them? I wasn't authorized, I said calmly. Section 7C of my contract. Once I'm terminated, credentials auto-rescind. Nothing I can do. He blinked at me. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm very serious. The interns stared like they were watching Netflix live. Matt ran a hand through his hair, pacing. Okay, we'll just reapply. Good luck, I said, standing up. Takes 6 to 8 weeks for reauthorization. Assuming no audits. But there will be audits. Lots of them. The silence that followed could have frozen lava. I picked up my bag. Well, this has been fun. Best of luck with your efficiency framework. And then I walked out. Calm. Steady. Like a queen leaving a burning castle, she'd wired herself. By Monday morning, the company was in freefall. An emergency compliance audit had been triggered, and without valid licenses, every single operation was frozen. Vendors paused shipments. Federal agencies issued stop orders. Even the cleaning crew couldn't step foot inside because the facility no longer had an active safety clearance. The office looked like a disaster zone. Phones on hold, music looping endlessly. Staff huddled in corners, whispering like survivors of a shipwreck. And Matt? He was unraveling in real time. I watched from a cafe across the street, latte in hand, earbuds in, pretending to scroll my phone. Through the big glass windows of the building, I could see him pacing, shouting, stabbing the air with his finger as if volume could bend federal law. Every few minutes, someone from his streamlined team would rush out of his office looking pale, like they'd just been told their childhood dog had died. By Wednesday, rumors started leaking online. Industry blogs posting headlines like, Midwest tech firm faces shutdown after compliance collapse. New efficiency officer blamed for license lapse. By Thursday, Matt was gone. Pursuing other opportunities, the press release said. Translation. Fired so fast his chair was still warm. And me? I was sitting at home in sweatpants, updating my LinkedIn profile. Not with desperation. Oh no. With leverage. Because suddenly, recruiters were sliding into my inbox like teenagers at prom. Turns out, 38 federal licenses tied to a single name makes you less of an overhead relic and more of a golden goose. One company even asked me to name my salary. I doubled it. They said yes without blinking. The following week, I started my new job. First day, my new manager shook my hand and said, "We've heard about what happened at your old place. Honestly, sounds like you saved us from making the same mistake." I smiled. Not smug. Not bitter. Just knowing. Because here's the truth nobody tells you in corporate America. It's not the ones with the flashiest PowerPoints or the loudest voices who keep the machine running. It's the quiet ones. The ones who know where the gears lock, who hold the keys, who've memorized the emergency exits. People like me. And when someone calls you legacy overhead, sometimes the best revenge is letting them find out exactly how much weight you were carrying. Title. Fired on a Monday. By Friday, the company was collapsing. Description. When a smooth-talking efficiency fixer arrives to cut out the so-called dead weight, Dana Miller is labeled legacy overhead. But what Matt doesn't know is that Dana isn't just another compliance officer. She's the only person holding the company's federal licenses together. With a single clause in her contract and years of foresight, Dana turns her firing into the company's undoing. This is a story of arrogance, strategy, and corporate karma, where the real power doesn't scream, it signs paperwork.